This video will walk you through how to remove and reinstall the rear wheel of the Revv1. We'll start by unscrewing the 4 bolts on each side of the controller box and remove the cover. We're going to be flipping the bike upside down to access the wheel, so removing the battery will make the bike slightly lighter and easier to flip. These handlebar stands will also help when the bike is upside down, but are not required. You can find a link to these stands in the description below. Flip the bike upside down. We strongly recommend getting help flipping the bike. Be sure to place the bike down gently and on a soft surface to prevent any damage. Cut and remove these 3 zip ties to release the cables. Remove the chain from the chain ring. Then, remove the chain tensioner from the hanger using an Allen key. Note that there's a washer between the tensioner and the hanger. Next, remove the hubcap nut and washer on both sides of the wheel using a 19mm wrench. Cut the zip ties holding down the controller and cables to the frame. Disconnect the 3 cables that lay towards the rear of the bike. The cable with the silver ring is the motor cable. Feed the motor cable out of the frame. It is often easier if you feed through the 2 smaller cables first. Now we can safely remove the back wheel. The wheel will often get stuck in the dropouts and can be helpful to nudge the axle using a 10mm wrench to loosen it. Now that we have removed the wheel, to reinstall it back to the frame, start by adding the chain to the gear and inserting the axle into the frame dropouts. These tabs found on the washers should fall flush into the dropouts. It's helpful to guide them in using a 10mm wrench. Ensure that the motor cable is pointing towards the rear end of the bike and isn't being pinched. Next, screw back the washer and hubcap nut on both sides of the wheel using a 19mm wrench to about 30 Nm. To properly route the motor cable, start by routing it over the kickstand, behind this piece used for the pegs, and into the frame opening going into the controller area. If you remove the 2 smaller cables, insert them into the frame as well. Now reconnect all 3 cables. A reminder that each cable has a specific orientation to be connected. Now that everything is connected, secure the cables back onto the frame with zip ties. At this point, you can flip the bike back over. Next, we'll reinstall the tensioner to the hanger. Before installing, be sure to add the washer onto the bolt. While holding the tensioner by the section with the small gear, turn the arm clockwise to spring the tensioner and screw the bolt into the hanger. At this point, you can get the chain back on the chainring. Secure the controller and cables to the frame by using a couple of zip ties. Once everything is secured, you can reinstall the cover by screwing the 4 bolts on each side. Finally, reinstall the battery and you're all set.